Now let's talk about panning the bass guitar tracks, and since this isn't an actual band that plays out, these were studio musicians, we have to kind of pretend that we know where they would be standing during a live performance. But most bass players that I know, myself included, like to stand over by the audience right-hand side of the drum set. That's typically where the drummer is going to be looking where the hi-hat cymbal is, and that way a bass player can lock in with the drummer a little bit more easily. So that's where we're going to place this bass player in this Cubase project. However, before we do, I'm going to quickly load some track presets onto these bass guitar tracks. There's two different bass tracks. There is a mic'd bass cabinet, and there's also the bass direct with a direct box. Let's listen to each of those right now. So here is the bass with the microphone in front of the cabinet. Now let's listen to the sound of the direct bass. So when we mix those two together, we get a nice rich sound. But let's go ahead and load a track preset, and I'm going to show you another way to load track presets onto these tracks. So let's solo the mic'd bass cabinet. I'm going to hit the Edit Channel Settings button, which is that big E, and then when it opens up the Channel Settings window, you'll notice that up here there's a preset window. So when you click on that, it's going to load up the preset browser. So let's go ahead and reset these filters, and I'm going to go to the category of bass and electric bass, and then let's try some of the Alan Morgan presets here. Let's go with the rock DI right here. Now that's very fuzzy. Let's try the amp country. And that's a little bit more mellow. I actually like the rock setting a little bit better, but we may adjust the volume of that track because that does get awfully fuzzy. But let's try that. Then I'm going to double-click that to load those into the channel settings window. Then I can close that channel settings window, and I'm going to do the same thing with the direct track. So let's hit the Edit button and go to the presets. And I'm going to need to drag this window over a little bit. Let's try the DI pop. Ooh, that sounds really good. Let's go with that. That was easy. So double click that, and then let's listen to them both in context with one another. Okay, that dirty track is just a little bit too loud. Now, we could either take these two tracks and pan them over to the right a little bit, but since we have them in a group channel track, it's much easier to just come over to the group channel and pan the group channel. So here is the bass group channel, which I'm gonna just pan over to the right, the audience right a little bit here. Then let's listen to that in context with the drums, which I will need to rewind a little bit because the song's about to end. So here's the bass panned a little bit over to the audience right along with the drums. That's probably a little bit too far over to the right. It's getting lost a little bit. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click and drag that hand control over a little bit closer to center. Now let's listen to the mix in mono and stereo of the drums and the bass to get an idea of what those changes to the pan has done to our stereo image. So here's stereo. That's mono. See how much easier it is to pick out the bass when all the drums are panned from left to right? When we listen to it in mono, the bass just kind of gets lost in there, but then if we listen to it in stereo, we can very easily pick out the bass. So that sounds like a nice stereo image for the drums and the bass, and next we're going to talk about panning the guitars.